Hello guys, this is just a quick follow-on video. I've done a walk-around update on the Altea. A lot of people ask us for updates on my long-term members of the fleet. I was going to incorporate into this week's vlog, but I've ended up doing a bit more content than I expected. So I'm not. I'm going to do this as a separate video. So this is just welcoming you to a quick... This won't be the same day, and there'll be different cars around in a minute when I press that button. So all I'm saying is, this is a walk-around update of what I can remember, what I've done to the Altea since I've owned it about 18 months now. Obviously Simon owned it for about a 3 or 4 month period in that time as well. So I'm going to do this recording now. So now we're going to switch over to that, and at the end of it I'll do an outro, because just ignore what I'm saying at the beginning of this video when it starts now, that it's part of the weekly vlog. It isn't. And at the end of it, when I'm saying I'll come back to you when I've done all that work, it won't be. It'll be another little bit like this cuts in. It's a bit cut and miss, but I just don't want to add that into the weekly vlog. I'm going to do it as a separate video on the Altea. So it'll switch over now. Hello guys, welcome back to Tuesday's vlog. I'm just going to add a little bit of information into this because I've got a little bit of time on my hands. And as I mentioned, tomorrow, the phone's not going to be on much. Dog's at the vets. So I'm going to be keeping it a bit quiet, so to speak. Because I'm not really going to be in the fettle to be videoing. I've got the Altea here. And a few people mentioned, like, oh, you haven't said about some stuff you've done to your cars. I've had this, before everybody says, oh, Dan, you swap and change your car. I was looking at my logbooks. I've had my ML for over 2 years. I've had this Altea for over a year, maybe 18 months. I've had my ZX for a year. Fair enough, the van I haven't. So I do genuinely keep my cars. I don't always swap and change them as much as you think. Anyways, bit of information and what I can think of, what I've done to this Altea since I bought it. So, what shall we say? Starting from the back. Let's see. Right, there was an awful sticker on here when I bought it covering this mark, but I much prefer having that little crease than a Northumberland massive badge stuck on there. Didn't look good at all. Repaired this back wiper because you've got to get a whole arm and they cost a fortune. So I've repaired it with a Bosch blade underneath, and it actually does genuinely work. So I've done that. I have greased up. This is actually a job I still need to do. Greased up those terminals, but they're not actually wired in. This car's only ever towed a tiny little aluminium trailer, and it only ever come to this height. So it never actually covered the lights, so the bloke never bothered. He fitted the tow bar, and all he ever did was use this tiny little garden trailer he would fit with some wood for his log burning stove. So I do want to actually wire that up. It is actually wired into the boot, in case I ever need to tow the caravan. Like I mentioned, this will tow my caravan, but it's on its absolute limits. Power-wise, no problem. Weight-wise, you're pushing it. So that's that. Starting just from underneath here, this exhaust at the back was new when he got it. I have recently had the stainless steel flexi pipe right up on the manifold repaired professionally, so the exhaust is absolutely spot on there now. What I've just been doing today is the number plate lights, because one of them wasn't working and it was setting a warning light up. While I'm in here, I'll just set them away. So now we've got some nice working number plate lights. There was one out, and I'm a big believer, if you've got a Cupra on a bad day and just something stupid like that attracts the attention of them. So, got them done. I've just stuck 2 new bulbs in and they're finished with. I have previously already replaced all these bulbs in the back, all with brand new. But what I have done are them LED indicators, and they are super bright. That's hurt my eyes just looking at that. I don't know if that shows up on screen just how bright they are. But there's one thing with these VAG cars, they have got shit little indicators on them, and that has massively improved the lights. I'm actually going to turn them off because that's hurting my eyes looking at it. But yeah, I want that because I like to be seen when I'm on the road, which I suppose is the whole point of driving, isn't it? So that's what I've done around the back end. In the boot, I got a special fit boot buddy. I highly recommend these. Don't worry about that bit. That's just some stuff I keep in there. It just keeps the dogs off them, and then I push it back in. In fact, I did have it in the other day, but it keeps the puppy off them, basically. But yeah, that is a cracking idea, because it keeps all the mess from the dogs off the car. It's a dual floor boot in this. I can't really lift it up because I've got all that in, but there's 2 layers underneath there. And this was bought for me Fiesta van, if you remember. Only downside to this car, it would have made nothing for them to put some seat belts here and put 2 seats in the back and make it a 7-seater. No idea why they never did that. it's something I think Seat missed out on, to be honest, because it would have been a cracking car. Not that we would ever really use the extra 2 seats, but they're nice to be there. That's from the back. While I'm just trying to think of bits and bobs. Trimmed that mud flap off a bit because it was hanging down and it looked bloody awful. But I don't want to get rid of it because it is handy. It does keep the car clean. When I got the car about 18 months ago, this brake nearly set on fire. Or nothing less than, I think it was Christmas Eve. So it had a new caliper on and new brake pads. The discs were pretty new from the guy who had got it. Likewise, those tyres. They're about 18 months old now, but they were brand spankers when I got the car. So we got that. They were done. As you know from a few weeks ago on a vlog, this one had just been replaced not long before I bought the car, so about 2 years ago. And as you've seen, I just took them pads out and freed them off because this back brake was binding a bit. That's been fine since, as well as that new tyre there. So that's around the back. Let's have a look around here. One job I still need to do is the sun blind. There's nothing actually wrong with it. It's in there. What pulls up, it's just a little handle snapped off it. I'm going to look into trying to get some of those, but the one at that side still works, which I'll show you in a minute. The seats aren't the best. One little mark there, that looks far worse on camera than it actually is. It really isn't that bad. But I'm going to take this to Dr. Valid, actually, and get these seats cleaned. It is the original sport interior in this one, which I do like. Into the front, I'll come to that bit in a second, because I have done a few bits around this area, which I'll show you. I just want to move around the front first. We'll try and keep to the... Right, again, actually, I want to just show you. This car has got 170,000 miles, and there's not even a rip or tear in that driver's seat, which is why I just want to get these cleaned. That's not dirt. It's funny how it goes when it wears. It's like fluff or something. Actually, do you know what it is? I've actually only just realised this. If I put some gloves on, it's just black fluff. We'll get that off, actually. So anyways, we'll focus on the interior in a minute. I don't want to go on too long. You'll probably get bored. I've attempted cleaning these a few times with this G-Tech, which I'm going to try again when I get some more time. Again, the main reason I really went mad for this car, didn't pay a lot of money for it, like this right here makes this car red. Right, most of you guys won't even know what an Altea is. So first up, a normal Altea is just a Seat Leon, a Volkswagen Golf, a Skoda Octavia. That's all they are. And it's just like my dad's Scenic, the little skinny ones you get like that. And this is the bigger one. So it's just a Golf Plus, basically. Higher roof, slightly stretched sill area. But the main Altea, the normal Alteas just stop here pretty much at the back wheels. Now this is the XL. Personally, I think it looks better at the back than the standard Alteas. Some of you might say it's a love or hate look. Personally, this car makes up for how the way it drives. I couldn't give a toss how it looks. But yeah, this is the XL, which means a little bit higher again, stretched sill, like a bit more stretched sill, and a bit extra added onto the back. Basically, it's just a Golf or a Leon stretched as far as you can stretch it lengthwise and as far as you can stretch it height-wise. And a few of you will be like, I bet you that's awful. No, I'm telling you what it is. It's the best driving MPV I have ever driven in my life. Hands down, absolutely hands down, because the Golf, the Leon, are a cracking platform to start with. But the beauty is, when you start getting too big, they start getting very van-like, commercial-like. They beef everything up, and it takes away the handling. They're rocky, they're awful. This thing is right on that line where it's just a car, which is the only downside. It's not. It looks big, but it's not a heavyweight car, as in for towing and stuff. You can still tow 1,800 kilograms, that's enough. But it's not quite, I don't like towing on the weight to my caravan. I'm just greedy, I like my ML. That thing can tow 3.5 ton. So my caravan's like a paper bag on the back. But anyways, it's at that line where it's as big as you can get, but yet it's still just a car. Whereas bigger stuff, like you go from these to the Alhambra and stuff, they are too big. You can't chuck them around. Where with this thing, it handles almost, I'm not going to say as good as a Leon or a Golf, but it's like on that line. It really is. You do not know you're driving a car this size. It feels like you're just driving a normal Leon or a Golf. Great. But like, then you'll say, well, yeah, that's the handling. But yeah, like I said, back to this. This has got the full CR170 Euro 5 engine in. it's got the huge, these are 16-inch wheels, and them calipers are scraping. They're 14-inch discs on this. So that is definitely a number one point with this, but the main thing is this thing's remapped. You can easily get 250 brake horsepower out of this, 450 newton meters of torque. It's just great. It's got the big turbo, as you can see down there. It's absolutely massive. It's got the metal intake manifold. I can't be bothered to pull this off, but underneath here you've got the metal intake manifold, which is better. It can put up with the power. But I've done a lot of work underneath here, starting with, that's when I got it, when it wasn't right, and I got it 9th of the 12th, 21. New battery. It had the timing belt done just before I got it, and water pump. You've seen us do this EGR, DPF pressure sensor. It's had the DPF cleaned with that stuff I had. New fuel filter, new coolant, because I had a water leak. Me and Simon fixed that. Crikey, it's had all sorts. New air filter, oil and filter, new pressure converter. EGR blanked off and remapped out, as well as the stage 1 remap. Try to think, well, that bits and bobs I've done in the front here. Upgraded the bulbs. Can't do the LEDs on this because it affects it too badly. You've got your night breaker dip beam, night breaker high beam, and just standard LED side lights. Again, it sets warnings on the dash, and they're really annoying. Aircon, annoyingly, is all nicely gassed up. But that condenser doesn't look great, but it is actually gassed up, so I'm debating this summer maybe get the new compressor, but I'm reluctant to spend 200 or 300 quid on a compressor if this condenser lets go when I start using it. So I'm a little bit worried. The only real way around it is bumper off, new condenser and new compressor, but I don't think I'm that bothered for spending all that for a few weeks of summer where we need the aircon. So that's that. Down the back of there, as you know, it used to have a terrible problem with fumes coming up. It did my head in, so I replaced this with a brand new Seat Seal, made my own one, and I eventually found the fault. So now, which did my head in, now I can have the heaters on in traffic and I'm not gassing myself out. So that is great. That's fixed. Gearbox oil, I did that with the proper genuine stuff. That's done. Just trying to work my way around. It's had all sorts of things. 2 front springs. I think I had one when I had it. Had one when the guy owned it before me. New front discs and pads as well. These hand-cooked tyres, which I put on a few weeks ago, which have completely transformed how it drives. They are great, and I've just had them rebalanced because I had a bit of a wobble. That's that. I'm losing track. I've done all sorts to it. I just wanted to give you a bit of an update. Main thing, a few years... I'll know I did all the adaptions on it with the VAGCOM. So first up, when you switch the ignition on, it does the needle sweep. I did that. And the main important thing with this car, I hate this speedo. It's really difficult to see. It's dark, and when you're sitting back here, you can hardly see like the 30, and it's never lit up, so you've got to keep putting the lights on like that. So what I did was I activated the digital speedo, so now you have your speed on there, which is just great. I never ever look at this, ever. I always look there. Seatbelt warning lamp, buzzer, I've deactivated that, so the light's no longer on. And before you say, I always wear my seatbelt. It's just when I'm going from my mum and dad's house to my house within the same estate, around the yard, it does my head in, beeping on, so I turned that off. Emergency hazard warnings and brake light flashing, did that. There's other bits and bobs I did to it as well, I can't remember now. But it's got all the electric folding mirrors, which for some reason it'll only do if you shut the door. I don't know why it does that. But that is there, electric folding mirrors, as well as heated mirrors, as well as tyre pressure monitoring, as well as full connectivity for Bluetooth hands-free system, which is great, as well as the next step up, which I don't know how to get this fully open without tipping all my stuff out. And there, it's got your USB and God knows what down there, AUX. Sound system's really good. Like I say, climate control's nice and simple to use, but unfortunately, like I say, I want to get the aircon working. But yeah, I just wanted to go through because everybody keeps asking, like, I haven't put much on lately. I just haven't had time. But that's kind of... I've done other things, I can't remember exactly, with the VAGCOM as well. Or the beeping when I lock it. I find that handy when it's on the drive at night. I can just click it once and you can actually hear rather than seeing it, knowing it's locked. I'm trying to think. I've done all bits and bobs to it. Lost track. But that's just a general update And what I've been doing today on it, why it's here, was them number plate lights and just checking all these vacuum pipes are in place as they should be, and I've just retied them and relocated some of them. And that was it, really. That's all I've kind of had the need to do. So I'll leave it there. In fact, I'll not leave it there. Funny, I'm speaking about it. That's obviously Simon. He's just turned up. And obviously, like I've said, I have owned this car for over a year, but Simon's owned it partly. And as you know, we did the deal with the A6 and the Altea. Funny, really weird, he's turned up the exact moment I was talking about this car. Because he's had involvement doing this. When he owned it, the water pipe broke down the back of the engine. And that was a right nightmare, which I'm pleased I've sorted. Oh, and I've fixed this. Repaired the screen wash because that stopped working. I am just about to order another set of wipers. I only changed these when I got it, but the passenger one is still not great. So what I'm going to do is put the wipers in the park position, which on this you've got to close the bonnet, switch the ignition on and hold down the stalk, and the wipers go to the bottom position and stay there. And I'm going to clean the blades and free off the hinges. But I do just think it's a wiper, so I'll probably just replace that. But yeah, that's kind of really as far as I've got with this. There's a few little bits of, on the wings. It's not bad for 170,000 mile. I think the worst one's this one. But that really isn't bad whatsoever. I'm going to actually put a little bit more on there just to keep it right. But yeah, there's just an update. That's just filled in 15 minutes to cover what I'm not going to film tomorrow. So I'll catch you maybe tomorrow on Wednesday's vlog, if not on Thursday. Right guys, thanks for watching that. This is obviously, like I've mentioned at the beginning, that was part of a weekly vlog I was going to put it into, but I'm not. So again, thank you for watching. If there's anything you want to ask about the Altea at all, leave a comment. If there's anything you think I should do to it, please leave a comment. So thank you for watching. Please hit the like if you've enjoyed it. If you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe, and I'll catch you soon.